You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech.
Yeah, you're a customer. Welcome to Geek.Nerd.Tech, the show we break down nerd culture and tech news from a black and brown and white geek perspective.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Sitting across from me is usually Achilles Shine, but I have the equally cool, equally as nerdy Stephen Lemieux.
Oh, I'm probably more nerdy. It's crazy. I'm more of like the video game nerd kind of guy.
Yes.
But I totally try to keep up to date on this, and I'm in the booth a lot of the times for this show, so it's always cool to hear you guys talking.
Stephen's definitely here and commenting and knows what he's talking about. We also have in the booth this time our girl Alexis is there. Hi, Alexis.
Shout out to
everybody.
Alexis.
Hello. So let's just jump into some stuff. We'll jump some tech news first because it's kind of a lot going on. I want to talk about this. Well, one of the stories I saw that was interesting to me is I'm obsessed with 4K of all things, and 4K is, you know, I don't know, sort of overrated and underrated at the same time. But apparently, Dell has figured out a way to get your 4K onto your desktop. They've come up with this new monitor. Their 24-inch 4K UHD monitor, you know, which is about, I think it was started out at $1,000, but it's here, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this because, you know, so much of the images that we are going to be able to consume in 4K aren't really, I mean, so much of the programming and things we need in 4K aren't really out yet. So we have the monitor to be able to be able to handle the capacity of 4K, but we don't have the content necessarily.
I mean, it's just like you have the new Xbox and the PS4, like the systems and things like that. Like, we're so ahead of our time with some of this stuff that the developers can't really compete with how fast this technology is moving.
Right.
So, I mean, I wear glasses, so 4K to me, I'm like, I don't really care. Honestly, like, even like TV, like HDTV, like sometimes there's shows that I'd rather not watch in HD because it kind of peels away the filters and kind of makes it less cinematic.
Yep.
So when I see like that, like, I have a feeling we're going to have probably a bunch of people who can afford it, buy it, not really use it to its full potential because there's no content, and by the time there's content for it, it's going to be so much cheaper, and then it'll be more consumer based, and then it'll be just like these new LED TVs that are $400, $500 now. 3 years back, they were $3,000, $4,000 for like a 30-inch.
Look, we've seen this happen. I mean, I'm considerably older than you. We've seen this happen all the time. I mean, going back to Laserdiscs and Betamax and VHS and cassettes and tapes and CDs. I mean, a lot of times the technology comes out first, the hardware comes out first, and then the software follows, and then the revolution happens, and then something new comes out. It's just really, it just seems like, I guess you have to do this as a hardware maker. You have to put out the product, but who buys it? Like, I don't know who buys this right now when there's nothing, you know, you just want to have the hot monitor? I don't know.
Well, what's interesting about what you just said and how it kind of ties into this a little bit is what killed the Laserdisc is the movie industry.
Right.
Is that the movie industry decided they wanted to go with DVDs as opposed to Laserdiscs. Sure. Which, if you look back at the tape deck and film and all that, like, the movie industry really does push forward the format of what is going to be widely accepted. So when you look at something like this where it's a monitor with 4K, I do see an intelligent reasoning behind it, because if you think about it, where are we moving in the movie space and the TV space right now? Right. We're moving all digital, all to your own computer. So if we do have things like Netflix and Hulu, if they're going to start creating content that is 4K, then this is probably the perfect step to make and be the first people to make.
That is an exceptional point. That is an exceptional point, because that is exactly what this is for, because all of our media is moving towards our small screens and our second screens. I mean, don't tell this to the movie theater owners because they're really pissed off about it, but this is where things are going, and maybe this is Dell's way of saying, like, look, so when this day comes, you can watch your beautiful show on Netflix on 4K
on a Dell monitor,
on your Dell monitor at home. So that's good. So, well, there's, know, that makes sense to me. You just talked me into it. I want to buy one now. Moving on.
Well, if you buy that, you can't afford Netflix.
I can't afford Netflix. So Sound Focus has this cool new case, which is sort of like the sound system in a case. It feels like this is something that should have already happened, but it's this cool case where it's got like speakers on either side, and it's this company that usually develops things for people who have hearing issues. But this is something that seems like it is, like, I don't know. It seems like it should have been done already. I thought it was done already, but I guess it hasn't. And it's like genius, right? I don't know. What do you think? Are you out on it?
I feel like it's been done before, but if it hasn't, you know, power to him for grabbing that patent and rocking it out. But honestly, if you walk around with your phone playing music, I want to punch you in the face. Yeah. So like, literally,
amen to that. I hate that. I hate it so much.
Yeah, literally, I was doing work for a friend at Power Morphicon, which is like this Power Rangers Comic Con, because he was in town, and we're filming something.
Nerd alert, by the way.
No, yeah, I went in there to meet up with him, and I had never heard of it before. So I go in there, and I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy, down in Glendale. Right. And some douchebag's walking around with his phone blasting, like, not even like good music.
Oh no.
Like terrible music, but I probably would have liked it more if he had these speakers and at least sounded good.
Right.
But it like, we had to hold off taping several times because he was basically lapping the convention holding his damn phone out.
No, that's
so if you do that, do it in your home.
Well, for sure. And I think there's other applications would be like, obviously, like speakerphone. If you know, sometimes your speakerphone, your iPhone or your Droid phone speaker's not loud enough. You can use it for speakerphone to hear better. Sometimes you do if you're out, I don't know, the beach or something. I don't know. The same place you would use your Bluetooth devices, like the Jambox, like I own.
Do you know if what was I gonna say? Do you know how much this costs?
Yes, it costs $69. Actually, pre-sale today for $69, but it's going to probably run about $129, which is like around the same price as your Morphe. What's that? The chargy thingy? Yeah. The issue I have with this is, you know, with cases like this, and you have the charging case, there's so many functional cases. We're living in a world now where you have to have, like, you know, like Batman, you have to have like 5 cases. You know, so it's like, oh, time to charge my phone, case. Time to listen, case. So I don't know, you know, and I have a fancy case. I keep my stuff in there, so. This is.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Thank you.
I knew you were gonna do that.
I'm so proud of this case. So the point is, I can't. You know, this is my wallet now. So what do I do with this case? I don't know.
So the moment somebody creates a swatch for cases, is going to be somebody really rich.
Yes, exactly. You mean the interchangeable situation? Yeah, I mean, that's the move.
You have the top, and then you have the bottom attachment. You just click on for speakers, click on for this, click on for that. You know what? The one application for this that I could see useful is iPhone 4s and iPhone 5s, and probably going to be the 6 in the next 6 months, are very prone to randomly their speakers stop working, or randomly like you can't hear stuff coming out of it unless you're using headphones. And if this is going through the auxiliary port, which I'm assuming it is, I think it would kind of be a bypass for that problem. So if it's cheaper to buy one of these than it is to get your iPhone fixed, I think that's a good application.
That's a good application too. That's good. Again, that's a hot tip. So you just endorsed it. You're endorsing 2 products back to back that you started out poo-pooing.
I think everything has its uses. I think the problem with the entertainment and, well, not the entertainment industry, with the tech industry, is that companies are forced to advertise on what they can market. And not the most practical uses.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it completely makes sense. I mean, this is what especially the case industries back when we went to back in CES. It feels like a third of CES is accessories and cases, and so there's all kinds of useless cases because you can market a case to. There's so many different types of cases and people can market to people, but in general, consumer electronics or consumer products in general are all about less about the usefulness and more about the marketing.
Yeah, I don't know why Mac sells these as like laptops. I would totally sell it to people as a doorstop. I think that's the.
Well, there you go. Well, speaking of Mac, Apple's announced another event, and they're kind of joking. Is saying it's been way too long. Obviously, the last one was last month. It's a joke, and it's really rare. They don't really do these sort of back-to-back, events this way. But they're doing a complete separate rollout. That's so much to roll out with the phone, with on the hardware side with the phones and the watch and the and everything else. So now they're going to probably roll out the new operating system, which I'm forgetting what it's called right now, but I should know. I'm going to have it.
It's some cat.
No, it's not a cat this time.
Really?
It is called.
Isn't it like Yosemite?
Yosemite. Thank you.
Ah.
The cats are out.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
Yeah, they killed the cats because they ran out of cats. So they went to Maverick was the last one, and now this one's Yosemite. So they're gonna roll out Yosemite. They're probably gonna roll out a new, larger sort of iPad and some other things. But I don't know, man. I mean, do we? I mean, I care. What do you think of these events? I mean, what do you think of these launch events?
Okay. I love Apple.
Me too.
I've used Apple since my dad had an Apple II. So
Me too. Apple IIe.
exactly. Like I have never been a fan of PCs. Never really used PCs much. I can appreciate their use for gaming and things like that, and I can appreciate the fact that you can build them from the ground up very easily.
I appreciate the fact that they suck. Go ahead.
Apple has been on a very hit or miss scale right now since Steve Jobs passed away, because I don't feel like they're being pushed to be innovative, and I don't feel like the CEOs are really taking the company in a direction that will, 10 years down the line, have brand new technology. I feel like Apple's going to slowly fizzle out over the next 10 years, because I think with the new technology, people are going to develop and be way ahead of the game. We're going to have the new thing arising from the ashes of somewhere.
You know, it's funny you say that, because this is something that Keely and I talk about all the time, and this is something that's been really, since Steve Jobs passed away and Tim Cook took over, this is something that's always been talked about. And we all sort of agree it feels like Apple's sort of on the slide. The innovation doesn't seem like it's anything new. The iPhone 6 is pretty, it's pretty derivative of the Galaxy. So it feels derivative. It feels like sort of like an answer to something. The iWatch is the same way, but sales don't really. The Apple sales don't reflect that. They're stronger than ever. They keep rising and rising and rising, and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like you wonder about innovation versus is a brand too big to fail? I mean, the next move for them, which has been talked about, which was Steve Jobs' last sort of legacy, was the Apple TV, the actual television set, which we maybe expect to see in 2015 or 16. The Apple TV, the actual Apple TV that will change the way we do for television what the iPad did for music, the iPod did for music. But who knows? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm disappointed in Apple because I don't feel like they have a visionary that can see far enough into the future right now. Because we are literally right now, 2014, we are on the verge of a huge technological breakthrough with so much technology regarding virtual reality, regarding like cybernetics. Everything is in development right now, and the technology to build things like this in 2020 will be widely available. And the fact that Apple is still focusing on a phone, we're not going to use phones in 5 years. Phones are going to be go the way of like the phone book. Phones are going to go the way of people who wanted to, well, pretty much there's the phone book, then there's like even the phone companies that do landlines and things like that. Like they took huge hits. That's why we have these cellular companies, but now everything's moving to internet. Slowly the world is going to be completely Wi-Fi. We're going to have people in Africa having Wi-Fi before they have food. And this is the way the world's going. We're not going to have phones in 5 years. So the fact that they're putting all their money and they're basing all of their stuff on phones and TVs, nobody's going to use TVs again. The way I see it, I see people.
So you're saying it's short-sighted because basically, like they're in the consumer electronics business more than they are in the like sort of technology business. Now, it just so happens their consumer electronics is technology, including what they do with the computer side. I mean, they have a robust computer division as well as a robust consumer electronics division. But these products are. I mean, it may be short-sighted in the fact that like they're building for now in the next 2 or 3 years, but not for the next 5 to 10 years. But they cannot stop. They are printing money, like with the iPhones, with the iPads, with the who knows how the watch will do, but with all their PCs and the desktops are still selling well. So I agree with you. I would love to be able to see. I mean, Apple's notoriously secretive, so I would love to be able to see. I would love to have some reassurance as a stockholder, like some reassurance that like we're on the right track from Tim Cook. but unfortunately, what stockholders want to see nowadays is they want to see bottom line, and people are happy with Tim Cook. They're like, oh, who cares? Tim Cook's making us money. He'll make us money for the next 3 years. But you are asking the right questions.
My hope is that they're actually developing this technology and they're just releasing this consumer base right now.
Right.
But I totally think that in the next 5 years, Google's going to start releasing mainstream, very advanced technology, and it's going to wipe Apple clean.
Wow. That's a bold prediction by Steve Lemieux. I don't disagree. This is kind of like what Achilles been saying, very similar things to that. So I don't disagree.
Because they're spending money. Google's spending money on advancement.
Right.
Even if they've had misses like the Google Glass and things like that, at least they're trying.
Right. Let's just try. Well, speaking of Apple's been under heat. Been a lot of heat lately for their very porous cloud, information in the cloud, and we've had a lot of hacks, a lot of break-ins. Most famously, recently the
fappening.
Yes, and then the J-Law pics coming out, which I hated to see. No. But anyway.
So you saw them? Is what
I might have taken a look at the J-Law pics. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. It might have been nice. Anyway, but Apple's really done a great job of sort of now coming out with this crazy new crypto software and locking everything down and making it making the privacy stronger than ever, and everyone seems to be happy except for the police, because allegedly, this has always been a big fight between former Attorney General Eric Holder and FBI Director James Comey, and Comey, that's his name, James Comey. Sorry, that's an unfortunate name for FBI director.
He wears red.
Where's that line between our personal privacy and then what the government needs to be able to do to sort of do their job? I mean, in terms of in cyberspace, like what are we as a government and as a police force able to police to help save lives versus what is completely private and encrypted? This is that ongoing debate, and so it's there's been, every time they sort of build in a back door to these sort of things so that law enforcement, others can get in and or federal law enforcement can get in and track terrorists and do some things, the hackers use that back door to go in and steal all your stuff. So now all the loopholes are closed. So I don't know, what how do you feel about privacy and what's Apple's responsibility in creating like the cloud and a device to keep you private versus keeping you safe? It's a large debate, but just what do you think about this?
Well, it's like when you try to bring safety into it and things like that, it's just, you don't want the illusion of safety through loss of all privacy.
Right.
And that is really the debate, is that people do not want to feel safe at the cost of all of their privacy.
Yeah.
Because if you want that, you can go to London, you can live like...
Cameras everywhere.
Cameras everywhere. It's like, oh, well, if I get shot or if I get stabbed and killed, at least they'll catch the guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you feel. Like, you know what? Like, oh, great, there's cameras, so I'm safe, but you're not really safe because you throw your gum wrapper on the ground, you're going to get a ticket for it. So it's a false safety. With this, it's your privacy. Like, I believe that there should be a backdoor only accessible with a search warrant.
Right, that makes sense.
I think it should be like anything else. If I don't want you in my car, get me a search warrant. If I don't want you in my phone, get me a search warrant. If somebody has made life threats against me, or I am missing and people have filed a missing persons report, you are allowed to use location.
Yeah.
That's it.
I totally agree. This is a nonstop problem with technology. The legal curve is always like almost months, sometimes years behind the technology curve, right? Technology's here, the legal curve has to catch up to it, and this is an instance where, look, I mean, our technology is not going away. Law enforcement being able to do their job is not going away. We need some sort of legal search warrants and things in place so that they can go in and obtain this information if need be, but legally, and I think that's getting that legislation like written and voted on and in place and passed, by the time that happens, there's 5 new phones out. So it's like that's a problem, and you know, something has to be done about it. And I totally agree with you 100%. I would love to see like these technology companies working closely with at least lawmakers to figure out, or at least lawmakers being able to be ahead of the curve for once in our generation. I mean, they're so friggin' behind.
Well, I mean,
everything.
What scares me is if law enforcement has access to your phone and has access to your pictures, with technology and with all of the archiving of photos online, you can literally, I could take a picture of my hand and maybe even like a part of my hand, put it through a picture search, and you'll get every single picture. It knows it's a hand, it knows exactly what it is. So my worry is that police will be like, oh, look, I'm going to take a picture of a nugget of weed. Great. Okay, that's on my phone now. It's private, not released, didn't put it on Facebook, didn't put it on Twitter, whatever. It's just a nugget of weed on my phone. And then suddenly, hello, you have weed here, I'm assuming?
That's what you're describing is the exact fear, and this is the exact debate. And you know, I don't know. I got nothing. I would love to see, just for once, our legislative body sort of get at least in lockstep and not just months behind the technology curve. But we'll see where this goes. But good for Apple for locking it down. We'll see. Speaking of anonymity, Facebook now is also trying to launch this sort of anonymity app. I can't say that 5 times
Anemone.
fast. Anonymity.
Anonymity.
So yeah, because you know Facebook's notoriously, everything about Facebook is public and sharing everything with everyone, and there's a growing number of us who don't want to share everything, and so there are these apps existing. Excuse me. All these apps existing now, like Whisper and Secret and Yik Yak, that allow you to have sort of talk to other people anonymously for a lot of reasons. Facebook now is launching their own startup they're launching a version of that allows you to have conversations with folks anonymously, not share your whole life, but still connect with other people. And I don't know. People are really sort of the comments on this are sort of like, you know, it's ironic that Facebook, the guys who've ruined your privacy, now want to allow you to be private, and how private will you really be if it's done through Facebook? I mean, do you have any thoughts on any of this stuff? Do you care? Do you know about Whisper or any of those other apps? I mean,
I've seen about them, and I've seen that there's another social media app that's basically, what is it called? It's black and white. People are selling invites to it and things like that, and
I think it's like Ello or something weird like that.
Ello or something, yeah, something like that. I think this is their response to that. I think they're losing a lot of users to people who don't want to be searching for, let's say, hey, I want to buy an engagement ring.
Right.
Okay, so you search for an engagement ring, you delete your history on your computer, your wife logs into her Facebook on your computer looking for engagement rings?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, screw off with that stuff. Like, we don't want to see ads tailored to our Google searches, because honestly, if incognito didn't exist, every single guy would just have porn ads on his Facebook 24/7.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, we don't want to see that. You just have J-Lo ads.
Yes, no, I agree. I totally agree with that. Like that's also a very good example of that, is the engagement ring thing, or keeping secret. Like you share computers, you know, Google Ads pops up with all the stuff.
Facebook has outed many a person through that. From their roommate using the same computer and seeing what they've searched, even if their history is gone. Bam, it's right there.
Yeah.
And, you know, Facebook does a good job with allowing privacy settings for who you want to control, who sees what.
Right.
But literally they are selling your internet soul to every single corporation in the world.
Sure.
Which, you know, honestly, it's only like 5 corporations run 90% of our infrastructure.
Sure.
So it's terrible. But I still use it.
Yeah.
You know?
We all use it. Like, I mean, this is why, I mean, you know, we talk about, you know, I'm in the television business and we're all in the media business. You know, television exists as a delivery service for ads, you know, and as does radio, as does magazines. And so when the internet started, you know, having these sites and this content, the question was always been, how do we get these brands to get to the people they want to get to? And what Facebook has done better than anyone else has figured out all these crazy, on Google as well, all these crazy algorithms and all these crazy metrics to figure out how to get, you know, your eyeballs, what the brands want in front of your eyeballs, which in theory sounds great until your privacy's blown all to hell.
There's some sites that are like the absolute worst, like Entertainment Entertainment Weekly, if you try to read an article, it like fades out the page, brings something to the front, you close that, and then it like brings down a tab with an ad playing.
It's like I'm just trying to read an article, Entertainment Weekly.
And the worst ones is when you open up a video and it gives you a choice of 3 ads, and you're just like, well, crap, which one do I want to ignore for the next 30 seconds?
Exactly. Yeah. Like we don't want to. I mean, there's got to be better ways of that. But this whole, so I don't know. This whole anonymity thing with Facebook is very interesting to me because, like, this is all what I see as this larger move for Facebook trying to hang on and stay relevant, because more and more people are sort of moving away from Facebook and saying Facebook's so old and I'm off of Facebook. But, you know, Facebook continues to grow, and I think Zuckerberg and those guys did a really good job acquiring and buying up all these young startups, all these like startups, buying them, sort of transmorphing them into something Facebook technology, or keeping them as their own separate thing like Instagram, you know, which is owned by Facebook, and a lot of people don't know that.
I think Facebook, with if they want like anonymous people talking and connecting, I think their smartest move right now would to set something similar to Tinder up, not like with that mindset though, not the hookup mindset.
Heyo.
But with like Omegle with Facebook. That way your accounts are already connected to this thing. Maybe you type in a zip code and you're like, let me talk with a stranger in this zip code, talk to people, and you hit a button, and then it'll make you guys visible to each other if you want.
Right.
Like, because I feel like that would be a cool way to have people like meet new people that have shared interests. That'd be great. But I mean, I don't get the point of chatting anonymously and not having people see your profile. Like, why don't you just freaking text or call?
I don't. Yeah, I agree too. But like, Alexis, you're young, and you.
Oh, thanks.
you're one of the kids. Like, what are the kids using these days? I mean, do you like what do you use?
That's how. No, because I mean, I'm not on that boat at all. I'm that person that doesn't use Whisper and what is it, Tinder and all this other kind of stuff. Like Facebook, I only use. Technically, I wouldn't even have one. I use it for family in the Philippines. That's really all I use it for. But I know people who religiously use Whisper because they love to, or Twitter as like a diary kind of. Right. You know, they'll like make a fake Twitter and then just vent the whole way through. And I don't know. I find it that it's too much work, in my opinion, to sit there and have all these different types of apps to vent out your own problems or to hook up or anything like that. Like I personally, if you want to get to know somebody or you want to meet somebody, that's what texting and calling is for.
All right.
I feel like it's
fair
too
enough.
much.
You are in the minority, sister. You're in the minority.
Yeah, I get a lot of like, oh, you're such an old lady, and I'm like,
yeah, no, you sound like my mom. Get out of here. Just kidding.
Shut up, whippersnappers.
So let's move on. So another, speaking of sort of technology, we last tech story here. The voice control with Siri and Google Voice and Cortana on the Google phones and the Microsoft phones are like pretty normal these days. I mean, be able to talk to your phone and have them do apps. But what is not here yet is being able to voice control the web, and that seems to be coming. There's this company, called doing an app called Julius JS, which is trying to develop something that we can basically be the Siri of our desktop computers and our laptops. And I don't know. I think this is pretty cool. It sounds like we have a long way to go. I don't know exactly how this works. I own Xbox One, and I talk to that thing all the time, and it's pretty very shockingly accurate and great. But it's also very annoying. You know, Xbox, do this. Xbox, change channels. Xbox. So I don't know how if I want to like navigate my computer that way. But I don't know. What do you think of this?
Not interested.
Technology? You know, talk to the computer.
No, I mean, I think it has its uses for people who can't use their hands well or things like that. Anyone like with medical issues who could use it. I think people who are disabled should use it. I think it's a great way to bring these people into the internet if they were previously not using it.
Yeah. Even like severely arthritic people, like who just can't.
Yeah, you know. I totally see the uses in that, but I don't. I honestly don't see people going to like a public library or going on their computer or being roommates with somebody and be like, Pornhub, open, or like searching the internet, like open that picture, open that picture, open that email,
close that, open that email,
open email from mistress. Like I don't see that happening. I see this technology being adapted again into virtual reality in the next 5 to 10 years.
I do. I mean, I think that's more of the way, and I think it's closer to Minority Report with the sort of virtual reality thing.
That's what I feel.
And further away from, which is more sort of old Star Trek in the Star Trek movies. Kirk would always like, computer, tell me about the blah, all that, like that whole thing, the vocal. Well, that's something that we know from science fiction from the 70s and 80s, really. But now, in sort of in the 2000s and the 90s, it's really more about the virtual reality. But we'll see. I don't know.
But I mean, people might want to do the Iron Man thing with Jarvis, where you could talk to Jarvis and also move.
Exactly. Jarvis is
everything at the
another
same
example.
time,
Yes,
so.
that's true.
I mean, the way I see it, even 2030, I'd say probably, if we're not all dead, 2030. Yeah. I'd say nobody even has monitors anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'd honestly think that at that point they will have developed a virtual room you can go into with a screen as big or small as you want it, and you're literally just gonna have a thing on, and you don't need a monitor. You can have everything in front of you, control everything you need to get on the internet, do all that stuff. That's all we'll need.
Look, that stuff is
it's already
here. Like I was at CES and I saw this crazy augmented reality / virtual reality thing where you put on these glasses, and they weren't even like, they were like normal glasses, almost 3D, and everything I saw in front of me, it was like I'm typing in the air, but it's like a keyboard that's in the air, but I'm seeing it as a keyboard. It's very Minority Report. That stuff was just 2014 CES. So I don't know. I mean, it's very experimental, but it was happening. So
I want you to go back 15 years, and what were we using?
Yeah.
We were using flip phones.
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
So 15 years from now, when we already have this technology, it's like... Who
knows what we'll be doing,
It's going to be insane. So I definitely recommend people who are researching this technology to buy stocks in it.
Yeah.
I think that I do. I always want to invest in something like that can be bigger later on. Because honestly, if you had bought a partner share in Oculus Rift when you had a chance, you'd be a multimillionaire right now, and that was only 3 years.
Yeah, and it's still growing, and that's still growing.
And
so
the technology's been sourced out to many companies now. Even Sony's doing their own.
Yep.
One idea that I was talking to Alexis about before the show.
He needs to do this.
I need to do this. I want an Oculus Rift game of being Professor Xavier. Because right now, the main challenge is walking around in the game. That's the biggest challenge that people are facing. They have the treadmill with the no-slip shoes and things like that.
Saw that.
So
Comic-Con last year.
all you need is a chair, joystick, and then have your hands and be able to do like motions to control the powers. You could wheel by people and like read their minds and hear the NPCs, voice actors talking and things like that. I would play that for hours on end.
There was a thing at Comic-Con, we saw that was like they had that set up. They had the danger room? No, it was a Cerebro. That a Cerebro setup, that you could go and sit down and you can put the thing on, and it was very similar to what you're describing, except it wasn't quite a game, but like that would be the next evolution, because you're in the Cerebro setting and you're looking around and you're doing the Professor X thing. But God, you're right. If you can interact with those folks and do it that way and sit in a chair, that would be, because at Comic-Con,
I feel like Cartman, where I just want to like freeze myself and put myself in a coma for 10 years and then come back out for the game sphere.
Right.
Like I want to just like come back and be like, yes, everything's out now. I can just watch every Avengers movie. I can watch every
Yeah, you'll freeze yourself and come back to the zombie apocalypse or whatever.
And Half-Life 3 will still not be out.
Yeah, no, God, what is? I can't wait for Half-Life 3. I hope that even is that even in development? Is that just still? What's going on with that?
Oh, is it Gabe Newell? I think is the guy.
Gabe Newell. God.
He's a genius. He's keeping us on the edge of our seats.
I mean, that's the game. Like, that game should have been out like 4 years ago. All right, so let's move on to some nerd stuff. Yeah, we just want to touch on these comic book TV shows that are blowing up, and they're both doing very well. They're also being taken very seriously. Long are the days of Batman and the very silly comic book show, or even long are the days of the very sort of soapy
Good thing I brought my anti-shark spray today, Robin.
Exactly, the bat shark repellent. which was cool. Or even the soapy sort of like the early CW days of Smallville. Like
Smallville was
a
highly
great
successful.
No, I'm not poo-pooing. I keep saying poo-pooing.
Never watched it.
I'm not poo-pooing Smallville. What I'm saying is it wasn't really taking itself seriously from a superhero standpoint. It more wanted to be a sort of a soapy early, hunky guy CW show. Exactly. Like as an old straight guy was not like watching a shirtless Clark, like, bump
Man,
around
I'm a
Smallville,
female and I didn't really want to watch a shirtless Clark all the time.
But I am watching The Flash zoom around Central
I haven't
City.
seen it yet, but I want to. And Gotham is doing really well.
Gotham I like a lot. The Flash I like a lot, and both DC properties. And as a DC guy, it's very good to sort of see. People call it in the movies the Nolanization of these comic books. And
yeah, because the grittierness of this one and having the two kind of mob characters, if you haven't seen it, which is
you're talking about Gotham.
Yes, of Gotham.
Yes,
with Falcone and everything like that.
Yep.
That's more of the Dark Knight series.
What they're doing a great job with is they're creating a brand that spans the ages and spans the generations. Because if you look at the Avengers, that's a movie that's not. It's technically not too appropriate for anywhere from 7 to 14-year-olds. No. But everyone over that loved it. But the fact is, they're still developing cartoons for the Avengers, and they're still developing like things for that age range. Yeah. So when they get to that age, they can like these shows and appreciate these shows. Sure. Gotham, I watched one episode. It was all right.
Not your thing? Are you a DC guy? Are you a Batman guy? Are you a comic book guy?
I'm a good writing guy.
Okay.
I don't care where it comes from, but I want good writing. But I agree that like the people taking it seriously, there's something to be said with having something that is comical and kind of you want to laugh at it, but the fact that they take it seriously and the actors take it seriously in the show
elevates the material.
I do the after show on AfterBuzz TV, our sister network, for Sleepy Hollow, which, if you look at it from an outsider, you're like, this is so ridiculous. It's insane. But the actors take it so seriously, and if you can just jump in and dive in and just like what they say, just go with it. It's one of the best TV shows on TV right now.
Yeah, that's the model. That's the model that you see in television. In film, is you get a bunch of really, like Harry Potter's example of this. You just get a bunch of super classy, smart British actors to really ham it up and elevates the material. Lord of the Rings again elevates the material when you have some great actors doing some ridiculous things.
When you care about Alfred.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes a difference.
Exactly. When you have Michael Caine classing it up as Alfred, you're like, oh, it's a big deal. So I agree.
Oh, wait, Joe, what do you think of this Alfred? A lot of people, he's been getting a lot of flack that a lot of people don't like this Alfred because it's not the lovable character that everybody like grew up with. He's kind of harsh and...
Alfred's always been snarky, though.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I love this Alfred because what you have, because it feels more true to. You think of the guy. Alfred Pennyworth is a guy who basically
he was in the military.
In the military, he's a badass himself. He had to take over Bruce Wayne and then raise a young Bruce Wayne after his parents died, and then also prepare him sort of like in a lot of ways to become Batman. And that's not a lovable guy who's like making tea and cracking jokes.
Yeah, because they're bringing it back to like the what is it, Bruce Timm or Bruce Campbell's like what is it, the animation Batman, and how he was just kind of like a side character that came out and he was snarky and witty, but this one he's sitting there sword fighting and doing all this other kind of stuff.
Well, I just like the idea of just bringing some depth to these characters you know and love. Alfred, it's been just a cutout character in so many in the comics and cartoons and some of the comic books. And he had a huge role,
technically. Like in the comics, he had a huge role in Bruce's life, and I hate that they didn't do that. But now with this show, they're doing that now.
So yeah, I like it. I like it.
Well, I could definitely see. I know they got the guy for Gordon. I could definitely see Martin Freeman playing a good what is it, Commissioner Gordon? I could definitely see that. I would love BBC America to make a spinoff of Batman.
I agree.
The same way they do Sherlock. I think that would be phenomenal.
Sure.
It would look great too.
Well, because I feel like there's room in the TV space for something that's not just a 60-minute show. I want something that has more oomph to it.
Yeah, like a 90-minute Sherlock style, couple limited series thing.
Yeah.
I would love to see that too. Well, who doesn't love BBC stuff?
All right, but it sounds like you're trailing off, so you want to move on?
No. Oh, we should, because we're almost out of time.
I know,
but
I'm just messing with you.
but no, I can talk. Trust me, I can talk DC and Batman all day long.
Same here.
Trust me. But let's talk. But I can also talk Ghostbusters all day long, because the much talked about and long developed Ghostbusters 3 has been in the works forever, and it's really been all about. Initially, it's all about Bill Murray, who's been the lone holdout in this for years and years and years. And finally, Bill Murray was to the point where he was really interested in doing it, and they had scripts, and they were doing everything else. But the original writers, of course, it was Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, and the director was Ivan Reitman, and Ivan was on board. They were all on board, and then unfortunately Harold Ramis passed away, and so no one wanted to really no one felt that they wanted to do this without Harold Ramis. It's his baby,
which they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. So Ivan Reitman sort of quit the project, but of course the studios are like, well, shit, we still want to do it, So they're trying to figure out how to save this franchise, and so they hired Paul Feig, most notably of Bridesmaid fame, and
was it like the Heat or
yeah,
like
and he's kind of known as in Freaks and Geeks before that, but he's now known as the sort of like the guy who saves female raunchy comedy or saves female comedy, and Bridesmaids was huge, so they hired him, and he's got this sort of new take potentially of doing an all-female Ghostbusters cast and rebooting the whole franchise with you can guess probably Melissa McCarthy or or Kristen Wiig or who knows who'll be in the cast. But
I'm not gonna lie, Melissa McCarthy would actually be hilarious.
I mean that I'm pretty this Ghostbusters is my generation and my era, and I love everything about the Ghostbusters canon, if you will, and. Normally I would say I don't want to see another Ghostbusters. I don't want to see that reboot with they were going to do one with Jonah Hill. I don't want to see that. But this sounds interesting to me. I don't know. I might be in on this. What do you think of this? Do you care?
I think fire Paul Feig.
Oh wow, you're out on Paul Feig already? He just got hired.
Okay. Get rid of him right now. I don't mean that as a disrespect to Paul.
Right.
I think it's more of just a respect to Ivan. Mm-hmm. I think like you have something that's been worked on and scripted for so long,
right,
where it's a movie where you're gonna have, if you make another one, it has to be good. It has to be on point. It has to be everything that fans want it to be.
Sure.
So it's the worst thing in the world to bring in somebody new. And you know why? Because if he does go with this new thing, we're going to get a movie in 2 years that has maybe been rewritten twice.
Yeah.
And that is the problem with Hollywood right now, is that they don't want to take the time to rewrite the script over and over and over and over and over again until it's good. They're like, it's all right, let's go with it. The actors will make it. They'll sell tickets, so you're good. The fact is Ivan and them had worked on a script over and over again for 10, 15 years. Which means it was probably fairly on point.
I'm sure it was great.
If he's trying to do something new, it means new script. It means all that old work is gone. It means all of the work that Ivan put in, who actually knows about the franchise more than anyone else.
Sure, it's his franchise.
I think you either do it with Ivan or you go home.
Yeah. Or you do it with Jason Reitman, but he wouldn't do it.
Or you do it as a complete reboot, but you don't just do it on the fly. Like, oh, we're doing a Ghostbusters. Oh, Ivan dropped out. All right, well, let's give it to this guy, and he can.
Well, I do agree. This is a problem with studios because there's so much money involved, and so Sony is very much like, look, we're gonna make this movie. I don't care. I
do not want another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We're gonna make this movie, so I don't know. We have to figure it out. So it's almost like if they're gonna make it, I'd want to see it in good hands. Maybe they should make it. I'm on the fence whether or not they should make it. I'm unlike you, although I hear what you're saying. I would be interested in seeing the Paul Feig sort of reboot of the whole franchise.
No, I like the idea,
but I'm I don't know. We'll see. I'm very near and dear to my heart, so it's very precious to me as well.
I love the idea. Having a female cast is great.
Right.
I just don't feel like they'll get enough time to really work out the kinks enough to have it be as good as it should be.
Right. So these last two stories, I'm gonna just blow through. So Robert Downey Jr. confirms
we have 18
Iron Man.
minutes.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, it's 11:42, Joe.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm getting signs over there that said we have.
Whoa! I haven't put up a sign for the past like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it said we have 20 minutes left. 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, till 40. Yeah, till 40. Yeah,
Okay.
till 45.
Okay.
You've only been talking for about 10. You're good.
Okay, good. All right, so okay. Well, then Robert Downey Jr. confirms Iron Man 4, which is a direct in conflict for what the story that Keely and I reported 2 or 3 weeks ago, that he denied that he would be a part of Iron Man 4. Iron Man 4 is not happening. He kind of confirmed Iron Man 4 is in the works.
It's so like
you know, I mean, there was no way that Iron Man 4 would not be in the works. I think that we surmise that there may be some weird storyline. There's rumors that Tony Stark or Iron Man something may happen to him in this Avengers 2 movie. So we'll see how this goes.
I don't want it.
You don't want an Iron Man 4?
Yep.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm done with it.
What do you mean?
I know. I mean,
$1.2 billion franchise.
what does that have to do with anything? I don't know.
I didn't like Iron Man 3, frankly.
I didn't like it at all.
I didn't like. I don't like Shane Black. I mean, as much as everyone else does. But
what I believe. What do we have? Who's the main villain for Avengers 2? I keep forgetting his name.
Ultron. The Age of Ultron.
Ultron's a game changer.
Yeah.
He's always been a game changer. So when we're bringing in someone big like that, I feel like Ultron's not going to only change Iron Man 4. I feel it's going to change Captain America. I feel it's going to change everything.
Yeah.
And what Marvel is so adept at is sewing all these universes together and creating like a different Tony Stark and bringing it back. I mean, we have it with Spider-Man. We have a girl Spider-Man. We have a black Spider-Man. We have all these different
female Thor now. You have a so yeah, it's.
So I feel like we're going to get Avengers 2, Iron Man 4, and Iron Man 4 is going to introduce a new Iron Man.
Oh, you think no RDJ?
No, we're gonna get RDJ, but it's going to be RDJ is probably, as the scientist, he's probably going to be the one to rip open a hole to another universe. I would love to see that. I love to see how that is how they bring in the female Thor that they bring in.
Right.
Because if he's the only one I see possible having the technology to really break time and space in this situation from the characters that we've been introduced to. So if we have Age of Ultron and potentially have Ultron half winning at the end.
Yeah.
And the Avengers being completely decimated at the end. Robert Downey Jr. perhaps wheelchair bound, kind of messed up.
Yep.
I could definitely see like a Avengers Unite through the universes coming in Avengers 3 and having female Thor come at the end of Iron Man 4 and having a new Iron Man in Iron Man 4.
Well, Joss Whedon has all but said people are going to die in the Avengers.
Exactly.
I mean, he's all but said. I mean, everyone's already speculated that Hawkeye is probably not going to make it, and you know, there's some other rumors. There's always been some thoughts about trying to bridge this Guardians of the Galaxy universe with the Hulk. I mean, the Planet Hulk storyline is something that people want to do. So we may see the Hulk and David Banner going out into space or going to an alternate universe and maybe meeting up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. That may happen. The Tony Stark thing may happen. So there's definitely room.
Thor 3 is coming out before Avengers 2, correct?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, Avengers 2 is the next on the slate, and then Thor 3 is in development right now. It's working right now.
I think they're filming.
They're filming
because it's Avengers 2, and then it's Ant-Man, and then it's
Thor, and then I think Thor 3.
Thor 3. So we'll see. I don't know. But switching over to the DC universe, which is where I love to be. Ben Affleck doing a lot of press for Gone Girl now as he's sort of forced to talk a lot about Batman versus Superman, and he's finally just saying, "Look, man, this ain't no Daredevil. Like this isn't gonna be a Daredevil."
I like that he said that.
Yeah,
too. That's what everybody was thinking.
Because everyone's getting so much crap, like, "Oh, last time we saw Affleck in a rubber suit."
Well, I mean, Daredevil was just a terrible film in general. It had nothing to do with Affleck.
Exactly, it was awful. I mean, a little bit. Well, nothing to do with Affleck, but it was, Affleck was in a bad spin with movies back then. And he had a bad run. I saw all of them because I'm a big Ben Affleck guy. I love him.
I may disagree with Ben Affleck in some political views.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But as from an acting standpoint, I think he's done what you're supposed to do as an actor. I think you're supposed to evolve as your career goes on.
Right.
I think he's not the same guy he was in Dogma. He's not the same guy he was back then.
Yeah, I mean, he's not
the same
20s.
guy he was in Daredevil.
No, he's not 27 years old, doing his thing. He's.
To be perfectly honest, you're a young, up-and-coming actor. They're going to throw you with names. They're going to throw you into Carmen Electra doing Electra and doing Daredevil and things like that. You're not necessarily going to work alongside brilliant actors.
Right.
So when you have these big money budgets where back then it was all about the names as opposed to the talent, he's not going to develop his skills. But when you look at everything post Daredevil, he's been working with these amazing actors. He's been developing his skills as an actor. I think he's going to do phenomenal.
I think he's going to do phenomenal too. Not only because he's directed 3 amazing movies as a director.
Oh my God, yeah.
But he's also brought him. He's kind of hands-on, but not really. This is Zack Snyder's show, and I think Christopher Nolan is still executive producing. I think Zack Snyder is his show. My confidence in Zack Snyder is not that high. I'll tell you right now. I'm not really sold on Zack Snyder, but this is my last chance. This is the last chance for Zack Snyder for me. But what Affleck was able to do is bring in his screenwriter from Argo to do the who wrote the script. So we're in good hands here.
It's gonna be it's gonna be fine. I don't even know why everybody's like
we're in good hands. I mean,
as long as Zach is not writing the script, I do not want another Superman.
I don't want another.
Honestly,
I don't want another Sucker Punch. I don't want another.
Okay.
Watchmen.
I hated the writing for Sucker Punch. I just thought it was visually pleasing.
Yeah, they've crapped the bucket so many times on writing Superman stories.
Yes,
so
many times.
maybe Batman being amazing and having good writing can bring it back up.
I hope so.
Also, Steven, you said Carmen Electra. You're hilarious.
Whatever.
I know. that was a joke.
Yeah, I was like, that was fantastic.
And then also coming to the small screen, Universal's brought back Dracula, and I'm sorry, the large screen. They're brought back Dracula. It's a movie. This is really. I'm so incredibly out on this. This is so transparent of Universal. I'm not trying not to go on a little mini rant, but Universal. I get the fact that these studios have these existing properties they own, and they've got to set some revenue streams. So they dig in the crates and they pull out whoever it is, and they roll out a new movie or try to reboot the franchise. You do it every 10, 15 years. So Universal's on this big kick to bring back the monsters. And they tried it with Frankenstein. Bomb. We're going to bring back Karate Frankenstein.
We're going to have Two-Face be Frankenstein.
Yeah, like that didn't work. They're trying to bring back Dracula.
Rachel.
Oh God, and they're doing this, and then we still got the Mummy they brought back, and that was successful. They're doing another Mummy. Doing another.
The Mummy brought back? You mean the Chinese one, which was terrible?
What I mean is Universal brought back the Mummy franchise from the 30s and did it successfully with Brendan Fraser, and made it successful then. They're trying to do all the monsters again. So look for a new Wolfman, look for a new Dracula. We see a new Frankenstein. Look for a new Mummy. Look for a new Invisible Man. All these monsters all the Universal monsters are coming. Creature from the Black Lagoon. They're all coming back, and they all suck.
I think Black Lagoon could probably be good.
It could be good.
And I think if they
Frankenstein could have been good.
If they do a werewolf one, if they don't do it too Pretty Boy, it might be good.
Could be.
But
I got no evidence to suggest that this is going to be good.
Okay. I'm not going to go on too long of a rant here because I know we don't have that much time. I'll just say one thing about this Dracula is screw off.
Okay.
Because what writers are forgetting is why Dracula is actually terrifying.
Yeah.
And you know what makes something terrifying? When it's based on a real world. And this, he has wings that are turning into bats, and they're flying, and it's very cinematically pleasing.
It's Dracula.
But you know what? I know I would never can see that in my real life. So you know what? I'm really not that impressed.
Right.
You know what? Dracula is based on Vlad the Impaler. He is a man who took 50,000 people and put them on spikes while they're alive and let them sit in the sun and die for days at a time. I'm sorry, that's terrifying.
Yep.
Well, maybe we'll get that. That's a pretty strong rant there. That's a pretty strong non-rant, Steve Lemieux.
I want Vlad. I want a movie called Vlad, and it says Vampire Begins. Vlad, Vampire Begins. That's what I want.
Guys, pick up Steven's idea.
People at Universal,
depiction.
Comcast, NBC Universal, call Steve Lemieux.
But then they want to make it PG-13 and give Vlad a six-pack and then put Kristen Stewart opposite the role.
Oh,
so
God.
God.
Oh, God.
You can't win.
No.
You know what? I'm out. Last thing I'll say. Last thing I'll say. I'm out on all the monsters. I'm out on all. It was cool. They were cool in the 30s. The Mummy, the Black Lagoon, Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein. Cool. Leave them back there. I'm not interested in rebooting them. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see another Dracula. I don't want to see another Frankenstein. I don't want to see another Mummy.
On the subject, though,
I'm out.
I love Guillermo. What did you think of The Strain?
Because
if we're going to go into vampires, I do want to talk about The Strain.
You know what?
Because I actually do The Strain after show at AfterBuzz TV.
I knew that was coming up.
But we had Kevin Durant, and we had all the actors from the show, so check it out. But
in all fairness, I've only seen the first two.
Okay.
And I love the first. I love the pilot. You know, look, I love Corey Saul, you know, and I love the pilot, and I love the second one, and I hear great things. My business partner Steve Berry loves it. I'm excited. I mean, what are you loving it? I mean, you do the after show, so what do you think?
I liked it. I had a lot of fun doing it. It's a fun series, but again, it just goes to this could be great.
Yeah.
If it had good writing.
Yeah, got it. Good point.
But they had this, and we didn't hear about it until it was about to come out, which tells me one rewrite to the script, and let's film it.
Well, I mean, they didn't dump it in February, and it is opening today. I'm gonna take a quick glance on Rotten Tomatoes and just see what's happening with it, just for a laugh.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
What do you got?
I'm gonna say 34%.
It's loading. Right now, it's coming in at a stellar 24%.
Oh, so I was 10%. 10% over.
Neither awful enough to suck or sharp enough to bite. Dracula Untold misses the point of its ironic character's deathless appeal. They're loving it. Okay, so moving on. That's funny. Neither awful enough to suck or sharp enough to bite. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes. Oh, we gotta go. That's it. It's over.
It's over.
Well, app of the week. We don't have time for app of the week, but we'll do that next week. But Stephen, thank you so much for coming in and guesting with us. Where can we find you, sir?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Achilles. No, I'm just kidding. At Stephen Lemieux, StephenLemieux, and check me out on our sister network AfterBuzz TV, doing the after shows for South Park, Sleepy Hollow, and Sons of Anarchy. Last season of Sons of Anarchy, guys.
Oh, SOA, Sam Crow. And I'm Joe Braswell. You can find me at Twitter and Instagram at Joe K. Braswell. I almost forgot where you can find me. And here on our sister network, AfterBuzz, doing the Blacklist and some other stuff coming down the road. Thanks, Stephen, and me for guesting. Yeah. Achilles in China.
Shout out to Alexis in the booth.
Shout out to Alexis in the booth, and we'll see you guys next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.